guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I'm really excited to share this video with you guys today. We are going to be doing a wrap up basically of 2018. We're going to be talking about all of my favorite makeup products that I discovered this year. So these are all products that I used for the first time in 2018 and they made it into kind of like a favorites for the year. Some of these products are not necessarily like newly launched this year, but it just, they're things that I personally tried out this year. But a lot of these are new from this year, from 2018. So that is what we're going to talk about today. Right after I'm done filming my favorite makeup products for 2018, I am also going to be filming my favorite skincare products for 2018. So that video will be going up very shortly. I'm not sure which days these are going up yet, since I am doing some pre-filming today, but just expect that video to be coming soon because I'm sure I'll post this one first. So before we get into it, however, if you are new to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. I really hope you enjoy this collection of products that I'll be sharing with you in just a second. If you like watching content like this, make sure you subscribe while you're here. I do have another video coming up shortly about my favorite skincare products for 2018. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. But let's go ahead and jump on in. So when I was going through my makeup collection and kind of looking in each drawer at which products I kind of discovered throughout this year, I wasn't expecting to find very much because I felt like I hadn't tried that much new stuff this year. I was like, you know, I don't think I did that much shopping and I didn't receive a ton of PR, but I was wrong because I actually filled this container here with makeup, so there are a lot of products. So I'm gonna get into it because we have a lot to talk about here, and I will link everything down below for your convenience. I tried to not include anything that was limited edition because I actually did find some really great products this year, specifically a bunch of stuff that was released in this fall for this Christmas season that are now sold out and you can't get your hands on them. So I'm not including those items in this video, but everything else you should be able to get, so I will link it all down below. As long as I'm talking about that, I wanted to mention as well, I'm going to link everything that I'm wearing on my face today down below. I am trying to be better about doing that because you guys always have questions, and I'm really trying to remember to do that in every video. I don't know why I have like this mental block. I always forget to link what I'm wearing. So that will be down below. Okay. So first of all, let's start with eyeshadow. Might as well because they're kind of bulky and they're right on top of this container here. So I did discover a new brand this year which is called Nabla Cosmetics. I tried 2 palettes from this brand and I really like both of them. So the first one is their Dreamy palette, and I do also have the Soul Blooming palette. And I just think the formula is really nice on these. Their color combinations in each individual palette I think is also very well like planned out because the colors do complement each other very well. So these are the 2 different combinations. Of the 2, I kind of prefer this one, which is the Soul Blooming, because it's a little bit more unique as far as the color selection. But this one right here, which is the Dreamy palette, is so gorgeous. Even though these are all colors I have in my collection, I still am really, really loving this palette. In fact, now that I'm looking at it, I'm thinking I should pull this out. I haven't used it in a little bit, but anyway, the formula on these was really, really nice. Definitely impressed by them. I would like to try more things from this brand. These are the only products I've tried from Nabla, but I have heard really good things about their line in general, and I would love to try more products from them, but I was definitely very impressed by these palettes this year. Alright, something that's not going to surprise you guys because I have talked about these quite a bit this year on my channel. These are from Huda Beauty. I have a bunch of them here, but I have even more. These are the Obsessions palettes, so her little 9-pan palettes. She has like the original ones, and then these ones are the limited edition ones. But I love these so much. The formula is excellent on these palettes, but also I love how little, I mean, they're so tiny, you can fit it in your hand. I love traveling with these because you get such a great selection of shades in every single one, and all the shades are very cohesive. They work really well together, and it's perfect for traveling because of the size. So I was really impressed by these little palettes. I'm kind of tempted to get one of her larger palettes now because I love these so much, but I've heard that the formula isn't the same, so I don't know. I'm just really impressed with these little guys. I have quite a few of them. They're definitely one of my favorites. Alright, one last palette that I discovered this year that I really, really love. I was very impressed with this. I did do a full review on this guy as well. This is also Very reflective. This is from Milani. It is called the Gilded Desires palette, and again, this is a very affordable drugstore brand. That's what it looks like on the inside. So you essentially get these like two little sections here. Each one comes with 6 eyeshadows and then 1 face product. So a total of 12 eyeshadows and 2 face products. The formula on this is so incredible, you guys. I was very, very excited about this palette. When I had it in my everyday makeup drawer and when I was testing it out, I was reaching for it every single day and loving the looks that I came up with from this, by the way. It's just such a gorgeous palette. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about this. If you don't have this in your collection and you've been wanting some more drugstore things to try out or just looking for a good eyeshadow palette, definitely give this a try. It's totally worth the money. Alright, that's it for eyeshadow palettes. I did have one single eyeshadow formula that I wanted to talk about. These are from, oh, I grabbed the wrong one. This is from Hourglass. These are from Hourglass. They're the Scattered Lights. Basically, it's like a glitter pigment. That's what it looks like. These are just so beautiful. I have 3 shades of this and I love it so much. They're a little bit on the expensive side, but I think the formula is really, really good. If you haven't tried them, I would definitely recommend just like going in and swatching them in store to see what you think about them. That's what it looks like right there. They're just very metallic and intense. They stay on my eye really good. I did have a few people comment the last time I mentioned these saying that they had a lot of fallout with them. I haven't experienced that with these. I do prep my eye usually with concealer and then I do set my concealer prior to applying this, and I've never had a problem with the fallout on these, so that's what I would recommend trying, or maybe using a glitter glue, but I think these are really fantastic, so I definitely wanted to include this. Alright, I did have one new mascara that I discovered this year that I actually really, really like. This is from IT Cosmetics. It's the Superhero Mascara. So this is actually not very new, but I just finally discovered it and started using it, and I really like it. It's a very nice all-around mascara. It gives you great length, it gives you great amounts of volume. I think it's just a really good one, and I was very impressed with this little guy. Alright, moving on from eyes, let's talk about some cheek products. So I definitely wanted to mention these. These are from Pixi by Petra. These are called the Glowy Glossomer Duos. I have 2 different shade combinations. I have this one, which is Delicate Dew, and this is Subtle Sunrise. I really like both shade combinations. I think they both actually work really nicely on my skin tone, just depending on what kind of look I'm going for. Here's a close-up. These are a very intense highlighter, so if you don't like intense highlighters, these are not going to be for you. But for a drugstore, these are one of my favorite drugstore highlighters I've tried, and I did just discover these earlier this year, but I've been using them a ton. That's what it looks like right there. There's a couple different swatches for you, but they're just really fantastic. I mean, they're very intense, like I said, but they go on really nice and smooth. They don't have like chunky glitter in them whatsoever, and they last on the cheeks really nicely as well. I love that you get 2 different shades in each one of these, and Pixi is sold at Target, so it is like considered a drugstore brand, but it is a little bit more expensive for a drugstore brand. I still find that these are totally worth the money because you do, like I said, get 2 shades in each one, and I feel like these are like, I would definitely consider these like high-end quality, so highly recommend these if you have not tried them. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Another highlighter that I discovered this year that I have been using nonstop, and this is from Anastacio. This is the Amrezi palette, or I'm sorry, this is the Amrezi highlighter. This was limited edition, but I believe they brought it back for a permanent item. I mean, the packaging, first of all, is so pretty. Like, this is in the pan, it just is stunning. But the quality of this particular highlighter is just gorgeous. It is, I wouldn't say it's super intense, but it's also not super subtle either. It's kind of right in between. It's honestly almost like the perfect amount of highlight, I think, for what I like to do as far as highlighter. But it's a nice like champagne-y gold color, and I just think it's really, really stunning. And again, I really like the formula on that guy. One last highlighter that I tried out this year that I was so blown away by and very surprised, that is from Lancome. These are called the Dual Finish Highlighters. I have the shade Sparkling Pichet here. I also have the trio that comes in a palette for holiday of 2018. That one, as far as I know, is still available on the Sephora website, and I think it was on sale as well. So definitely check that out before it sells out, because they're also doing 20% off the sale items still, I believe. So yeah, definitely check that out. I think that was a fantastic deal. But yeah, these are, I don't know why people are not raving about these. These are crazy intense, you guys. These are so gorgeous. They're just like a swipe of like metallic. And if you don't like a super intense highlighter, you could even, it's this bottom one here, you could totally even use this on your eye. It's like just a very creamy, intense, metallic, almost foiled. Like, it's just stunning. So I am really blown away by this formula. I really love them. I'd like to get more shades of this. I just haven't been able to do that yet, but someday I will, because I really like these. I think they're really good. Okay, next I have one bronzer to mention. Now this bronzer is, I don't think this was launched this year, but I just finally tried it this year. It is from Makeup Geek, and this is in the shade Sunkissed. It's the Fair Skin bronzer. This is so good, you guys. Like, I was honestly so surprised by this bronzer. It is, it's like a very light wash of pigmentation. It looks so good on my skin in the winter time. Here it is right here. When I'm really fair, because it's hard to find a bronzer that's not too orange or too dark when you have really fair skin. And this one is just like the perfect bronzer. It applies so nicely. It doesn't get patchy. It blends out so beautifully. Like, I think the formula of this is really good. I'm surprised. This is another thing I'm surprised more people aren't talking about. I don't know. I was really impressed by the formula of this one. And then I do have just one blush to mention. This one is from Flower Beauty. I was wanting to try more products from Flower this year. I did try a handful, but not as many as I wanted. But this was probably my favorite thing I tried from the brand this year. This is just a little blush. It has like the little flower or like rose imprint on it. And this is in the shade Sweet Pea, by the way. I just thought this was a really nice drugstore blush. Drugstore blush is another one of those things I haven't found a lot that I like. Here's a swatch right there. But this one's really nice. It kind of reminds me of the formula of the Milani blushes, if you've tried those ones, the ones that look like a flower as well. It's just like a baby size, but it has a similar formula. Very pigmented, but not like too pigmented, and it blends out beautifully. This one is a matte blush, by the way, but I really liked this and very much enjoyed it. And that's the same thing. Okay, I also have quite a few face powders here that I tried out this year that I really fell in love with. Now the first one, this really surprised me. I almost passed on this, but I found it, I think, at TJmaxx, or I might have bought it on clearance at Sephora, and then I've seen it at TJmaxx since then. But this is from Kat Von D. It is discontinued. But I think you can still find it at TJmaxx here and there, so I did want to mention it in case you see it there. Pick it up because it's a great deal. This is the Kat Von D Lock-It Brightening Under Eye Powder, and this is the shade Petal that I have here. This has become my favorite under eye setting powder. It does brighten, but it doesn't look crazy. It brightens in a very subtle way, and it doesn't get my under eye looking cakey or creasy at all. And I do have, you know, fine lines underneath my eye, but it doesn't accentuate those fine lines, which is really important with an under eye setting powder. So I've been really impressed with this little thing. I would definitely recommend it if you see it on sale, like at TJmaxx or something. All right, a couple loose powders that I found this year. The first one is from Marc Jacobs. I don't think this will surprise you guys either. This has made it into a few favorites this year. I've had it in my everyday makeup drawer a lot, but this is the Marc Jacobs Finish Line Powder. This is such a great translucent setting powder. It is a loose powder. It has the really nice netting here too that dispenses just the perfect amount of product when you dip your brush. So I really appreciate that, because a lot of times with these loose powders, you open it and it kicks up a bunch of excess powder, and then you're losing all of that powder every time that happens. This one does a really good job of containing the product until you dip your brush, and then you get just what you need. So I really like that. I also really like the formula of the powder itself. It's just a very finely milled. It doesn't look cakey or powdery on the skin at all. It just kind of sets everything beautifully. So I highly recommend that one. And then the last face powder that I wanted to mention is from Hourglass. This is the Veil Translucent Powder. And again, this is just like a loose powder. This one has a little bit different packaging. It has like, I'll show you. So it just has where the product comes out from right here. It's a little more difficult to get the powder out, but it doesn't like but it doesn't lose a lot of powder either, just like the Marc Jacobs one. But this one is a little trickier. Sometimes you have to kind of tap it into the lid to get out the product. But I think the formula on this is so beautiful. Honestly, I feel like the Marc Jacobs one and this one are quite similar though, so I don't think you necessarily need both of them. And I do slightly prefer the packaging on the Marc Jacobs over this one, but they're both really fantastic powders. I'm really happy that I have both of them, and I will continue to use both of them for sure. All right, moving on to, I'm kind of doing this like in backwards order how I would normally do it, but moving on to some complexion products. I do have a couple foundations here that are new to me this year. The first one is from Benefit. This is the Hello Happy foundation. This surprised me. I really didn't think I would like this. I don't have a lot of favorites from Benefit. It's not a brand that I find myself really kind of gravitating towards very often, but I was hearing a lot of like mixed feedback about this foundation, and I just really wanted to try it for myself. And I actually really like it, even though the coverage on this is more of a light to medium coverage. It's not full coverage, which you guys know full coverage is usually what I look for in foundation, but I don't want to wear full coverage every single day. There are days where I want a lighter weight coverage, and that's what I like this for. It is very long wearing. It does give a little bit of a glow to the skin though, so if you have oily skin, you probably would really hate this foundation, but if you have normal to dry skin, you would probably enjoy it, especially if you prefer a light to medium coverage. It definitely goes on more of like a light coverage, but you can build it to a medium coverage. So anyway, like I said, I was really surprised by this one, and I'm really glad that I picked it up. All right, another foundation that I tried this year. This one, honestly, like as soon as I started using this, I could not put it down. I was using it like every single day. This is from Pure Cosmetics. It's a stick foundation. They call it their 4-in-1 stick foundation. I have the shade Light. This is very full coverage. It's very full coverage. So if you don't like full coverage, I don't know why I swatched a foundation for you guys, but if you don't like full coverage, you probably would not like this. It's very full. Maybe a slight bit on the thick side, but what I like to do with this one when I apply it, I just draw on a little bit, like a little bit goes a long way, and then I take like a big kabuki flat brush and blend it out. I like my Tarte foundation brush for this particular foundation. I think that works best, and I just quickly buff it out, and then I move on to the next section. Definitely recommend working in sections with this foundation because it is a little thicker and drier. It does dry down fast, so you want to, I'll do like my cheek, blend it out, and then move on to the other side, blend it out, and then the forehead and, you know, T-zone. So that's kind of how I do it. I would recommend trying that, or even pairing it with a very hydrating primer or even a facial oil underneath. But I was really impressed with this. I honestly felt like I might like this more than my Lancome stick foundation, which you guys know I'm obsessed with and I like traveling with, but I think this might replace it. It's a little bit more affordable, first of all, and then I also think the coverage is a little bit better. The Lancome stick is more of like medium to full coverage. This is definitely full coverage, so I was really impressed. It's very long wearing, and I definitely recommend that one. All right, and then the last foundation that I wanted to talk about is from CoverGirl, and this one is the True Blend Matte Made Foundation. So this foundation is one of the few drugstore foundations that I've tried recently that I actually have been really enjoying. I think it's a really nice full coverage matte foundation. It reminds me a little bit of like the Kat Von D foundation. It can be a little drying because it is a matte formula. So again, if you have dry skin, you might want to steer clear of this or use like a facial oil underneath. But if you're looking for a good drugstore full coverage foundation, I would recommend trying this one out. Also, they have like 40 shades, which is amazing, so you should be able to find something that would work for your skin tone. Okay, let's keep moving right along. I grabbed a lot of products for this. Next, I did find one concealer this year that I totally fell in love with. This one is from First Aid Beauty. It's the Hello Fab Bendy Avocado Concealer. I love this so much. It's definitely one of my top 5 concealers, and I did discover this earlier this year, and I've been using it throughout the year, pretty much nonstop. It's such a great concealer. It is a very good amount of coverage, but it's also very hydrating, so it does not accentuate fine lines or wrinkles underneath the eye, and it also provides a decent amount of coverage, so I really have been enjoying that one. Alrighty, and then I do have just one facial primer that I found this year that I really like, and this is from Volition. It's the Prismatic Luminizing Shield. It also has an SPF of 50, so I was using this a lot during the summertime. I really like it because it gives gives you a natural glow to the skin. It doesn't look shiny or glittery at all. It's just like a natural glow, and then it provides you that SPF of 50, and I like to layer my SPF in the summertime. It helps this SPF to not break down as quickly if you can kind of layer it up. So anyway, I really liked using this. I will definitely break this out again in the spring, summer. I know I'll be using it a lot then, but this was something I discovered this year, so I wanted to mention that as well. All right, I do have one primer for the eyelid as well that I found this year. This is from CoverGirl, and this is the Lid Lock Up. Yes, it's the Lid Lock Up Eyelid Primer. This I was so impressed by. This really totally blew me away. It actually is very similar to the Too Faced Glitter Glue, so I think I'm going to be using this once I run out of my glitter glue. I think this will be my new go-to for glittery eyeshadows. It has a little bit of a tacky base, and it really just like, I can't explain it. It just holds on to that glitter. Things are not going to be moving. You're not going to get the fallout. So definitely recommend trying this if you haven't. It's an excellent drugstore alternative. And then surprisingly, I only found one new lip product this year. So this year I made a very conscious effort to not buy new lip products because I have way too many, and a lot of them are going to be expiring soon. So I really wanted to use up some of the product that I already owned and not pick up a bunch of new stuff. But there was a couple things I picked up this year, and one of the ones that I actually really fell in love with were these Urban Decay Hi-Fi Shine lip glosses. I do have a couple shades of these. This one here is my favorite. This is Back Talk. It's just a really good mauve-y neutral shade, but I really did like the formula on these. It has a nice scent. It's almost like a minty chocolate kind of scent is what it smells like to me, and if you don't like scented, it is a little intense, the smell, so I would recommend not getting these if you don't like scented lip products. But I also really like the formula. It is pretty pigmented. Here, I'll swatch this. It's pretty pigmented, and it's slightly sticky, but not too sticky, and then it gives a great amount of shine. So here's a little swatch right there. You can see it's very, very shiny. So yeah, I was very impressed by these. All right, we're almost done, you guys. This was a lot of products. So the next thing I wanted to mention is from Saturday Skin. This is called the Daily Dew Hydrating Essence Mist. I did just get this earlier this year, and I've been using it quite a bit. I really like using this when I'm using a very drying foundation, or if my makeup starts to look a little thick or a little too heavy, or I put too much powder on and I want to rehydrate, then I will use this. And sometimes I'll use it throughout the makeup steps, so I might, you know, put on my primer and then use a little bit of this foundation, use a little bit of this, so I kind of layer it, and it just makes everything look like really cohesive. It honestly reminds me a lot of like the MAC Fix Plus, if you've tried that one. It reminds me a lot of that, so I definitely wanted to mention that guy. And then last but not least, I have a few brushes to mention. So all three of these brushes are actually from Sigma. I did not buy a lot of new brushes this year, but I did pick up the collab that Sigma did with Angelica Nyquist earlier this year, and there were 5 brushes in that set, but 3 of them have become favorites of mine this year, and I'm so glad I got that set because I think it was so totally worth it. Now you can't get these in the set anymore, however you can still buy all 3 of these individually, so I will link those down below for you. So the first one that I really love is called the Small Tapered Blending Brush, or the E25 brush. This is what it looks like. It's got a very tapered end to it, but it's still kind of fluffy on the side, so you still have some movement here with the brush. So you can do so many different things with this brush. I like to use it to apply a very precise color to my lower lash line, because then you can just kind of use the tip and get a very precise application. I also really like using this to apply color to the outer corner, because again, you can use the side to really pack on the color, and then you can kind of use the tip to work it right where you want it, keep it very tight and intense. So I've been really enjoying that brush. And then the other eye brush from the set that I really like is called their E25 Blending Brush. Now I think I actually have had this before. I feel like I've had this brush before, but this also came in the set, and I think it is really, really nice. So this brush is a little bit more flat. It's a little bit more of a flat brush, but it also still has a little bit of fluffiness at the end. So this one, what again I like to do with this is kind of pack on the outer corner, and then you can turn it to its side and kind of lightly blend it out as well. So it's good for packing and a little bit of blending, not too much blending. You're definitely going to want to get a little fluffier blush for the brush for the blending, but this was really great for packing on color. Alright, and then the last brush from that set I wanted to talk about is the High Cheekbone Highlighter Brush F03. This one I've mentioned in some favorites videos this year. This is such a great highlighting brush. I like these more dense, smaller brushes for highlighting because I really like being precise in where I apply my highlighter, and this one just does a really good job. So I like to apply the product right here and then just kind of apply it and then use the tip to kind of softly blend it together. So yeah, I've been really enjoying this brush as well. Alright you guys, those are all the products that I wanted to mention this year. That's a lot of products. Again, like I said, I was pretty surprised that I found so many favorites this year, but very pleasantly surprised. That was a lot of really great products. I would definitely recommend every single one of these if you want to check any out, but if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!